Saga of the Moon Priestess is an indie action-adventure game that wears its inspiration clearly on its sleeve throughout its 3-hour or so runtime. And if it isn't incredibly obvious at first glance what that inspiration is, well, it's definitely the Game Boy Color era Legend of Zelda titles. The game opens with a brief segment showing the Prince of the Land being captured. You will then find yourself in the shoes of Sarissa, the heroine of the game, armed with her trusty spear. In traditional Zelda fashion, you have an open world to explore, but with certain sections blocked off since you lack the items required to progress deeper into it. There's 5 total dungeons to explore, each with its own boss. Each dungeon has its own item that will be heavily utilized to reach the end of it and defeat the boss. The items in Saga of the Moon Priestess are a bit disappointing as they stick far too close to the Zelda formula. Bombs, bow and arrow, fire wand, gloves that increase strength. We've seen these all many times before. The lone exception here is the swap chain, which is a fresh take on the hookshot. It brings some unique navigation and puzzle aspects to the gameplay when you acquire it. And while the other standard fare items do have some new uses, they stick a bit too close to the formula and lack originality as a result. Near the center of the world, you can find the lone town, which houses some NPCs and the game's shop to purchase consumable items like potions, arrows, and bombs. One of the buildings contains a fortune teller, which you can pay for a hint if you find yourself stumped on where you should head next. The open world also hides some secrets containing extra goddess tiers, which increase your maximum health, as well as some chests containing beads, which are the form of currency. You can also engage in a very short trading side quest, with the final reward being an upgrade to your spear. So for the most part, you'll find yourself sticking to the story progression, as there's not a whole lot of side activities to partake in. And while Saga of the Moon Priestess plays it really safe by sticking to the tried and true formula, what's here is fun and for the most part is done well enough to warrant a few hours of your time to play through it. Saving is handled manually by hitting statues with your spear, and death will respawn you at the last used statue without any loss in progress. One of the downfalls of the gameplay is that there's no recovery time between hits, so you could find your health gets depleted in an instant under certain circumstances. Another gripe I had is that the health bar takes up too much of the screen, and at times it blocks your vision of paths that you'll need to traverse over. The skull icon next to your health bar is a curious choice, as I don't think I've ever seen a skull like that not be used to denote an enemy or boss's health bar, but also because it's taking up screen real estate that it doesn't need to, as previously mentioned. Couple that with the odd choice to always have your currency total on screen rather than it being shown in your inventory menu at all times, and only on screen when you collect some beads, and again you have an odd design choice. If it sounds like I'm being nitpicky, I can assure you the only reason I'm mentioning these small things is because they were an issue enough times to not be just a small problem. The dungeons are designed well, as is the entire overworld with a variety of different environments to explore, but yet another small issue that was very annoying throughout my playthrough is the way the game handles the in-dungeon map. When you don't have the map for the dungeon, you'll fill in each room as you traverse it. When you collect the map, suddenly the entire map is filled in with no way to distinguish between rooms you've been in and rooms you have not. I don't understand why the rooms you haven't been to wouldn't be faded out a bit so you could tell the difference. But I digress. The map pickup in each dungeon felt like it hindered my progress more than it helped. More than a few times, this resulted in me wandering around for a while as I couldn't quite remember which rooms I had been to and which I had not, and you have another design choice that could have been done better. The last issue that I experienced seemed like it was a bug of sorts, as one of the bosses didn't trigger initially. I could have just grabbed the goddess tier at the end and went on my merry way, but I kept trying to trigger the boss so that I could defeat it to unlock my achievement. That might be a widespread issue, or might just be a freak thing I encountered, but either way, it's worth mentioning. Saga of the Moon Priestess is available on PC, PS4, PS5, Switch, Xbox One, Xbox Series S, and X. The gameplay captured for this review was played on the Xbox Series S. The game was developed by Pixel Trash and published by East Asia Soft. Now in conclusion, Saga of the Moon Priestess is a fun experience that is only hindered by a few odd design choices and its over-reliance on sticking a bit too close to the Zelda blueprint. It has some really great pixel art and original bosses, which felt like the two overall highlights of the experience. What's here is enjoyable to play through, and it's worth the few hours of your time it takes to finish. But for players looking for a new, original experience that strays from the blueprint laid down by the Zelda franchise many years ago, I think you would find yourself a bit disappointed with what's here. So if you're okay with playing through a game that made you feel like you've been here before, then you'll enjoy Saga of the Moon Priestess. If you were hoping for a completely original experience that brings a completely fresh and original take to the well-established formula, then you should pass, as I think you'd find it to be disappointing. Thank you for watching this review. If you enjoyed it, please like the video, comment below if you have any questions, and subscribe if you haven't done so already, as I cover a lot of different indie games on my channel. Hope to see you on my next video, but until then, have a good one.